Hello everybody, my name is Sarah and welcome back to Educating Adventures. I want to start off our class today by having you guys picture something spooky, a spooky creature. Some of you might be picturing a bat hanging in a cave or a werewolf crawling through the forest, but some of you may be picturing a large, hairy, 8-legged creature crawling toward you like a tarantula. Today, we're going to be exploring this misunderstood spider and learning why they are fascinating and important. Tarantulas are a family of spiders that have more than 1,100 different species. Like all spiders, tarantulas are arachnids, and they are related to other arachnids like scorpions, ticks, and vinegaroons. All arachnids have a couple key things in common. They all have 2 body segments, 8 legs, no antennae on their head, and a hard exoskeleton. We're going to come back to that exoskeleton in a little bit. Tarantulas are a pretty well-known group of spiders, partly because they're gigantic, but also because they're found in many different places. Tarantulas are found on every continent except for Antarctica, and they live in lots of different types of habitats, but they're most commonly found in habitats that are hot or tropical. Tarantulas give a lot of people what I like to call the heebie-jeebies. They kind of make people go, ooh, because they're very large and they have venomous fangs. The largest species of tarantulas, their leg span, so the tip of one foot to the tip of an opposite foot, can be up to a foot in length, about the size of a dinner plate, though most tarantulas are not that big. Tarantulas do also have large venomous fangs. On the largest species of tarantulas, their fangs can grow to be more than an inch in length. That wouldn't feel very good if you got bit by a tarantula, but their venom is actually quite weak. Tarantulas cannot usually kill a grown human with a bite because of how weak their venom is. It's about the same as being stung by a wasp. It does depend a little bit on the species, and like I said, it would probably not feel very good, but that venom is far more effective on their prey. Tarantulas are carnivores. They are meat eaters. For most species, their diets consist primarily of insects and other arthropods, little bugs. Some species eat little reptiles like small lizards or small mammals like little mice. And that venom does also come in handy when they are defending themselves, because even though they are predators, they have predators. There are a lot of animals that eat tarantulas, like hawks, snakes, large lizards, and wasps are some of their main predators as well. Like all arachnids, tarantulas are invertebrates, which means they do not have a backbone. Instead, tarantulas have a hard outer coating on their body called an exoskeleton that gives them support and provides protection from predators. Most tarantulas, their exoskeleton is covered in these small hair-like structures that are called setae, and the setae is really important in allowing tarantulas to sense vibrations, which allows them to figure out kind of what's going on around them in the environment. Some tarantulas, particularly the ones that live in North America and South America, can use their setae for defense. They have kind of extra setae on their abdomen, which is kind of like by their rump, and they take their back legs and they flick the setae off of their abdomen. The setae is really light, so it drifts up into the air and it can get into the eyes, the nose, the mouth of predators, make it hard for them to see or eat. So those drifting setae are a great way for them to protect themselves, and we do give that a very special name. We call it urticating hairs when the New World tarantulas flick those setae off of their back. Having an exoskeleton is great because it provides protection from predators, but it does make growing a little bit challenging because an exoskeleton doesn't stretch the way our skin does when we grow. When animals that have an exoskeleton grow, they have to molt or shed their old exoskeleton and develop kind of like a new one underneath. For tarantulas, the molting process is a little strange. Prior to them molting, they flip over onto their back and they stay that way for a couple days. And during that time, they're kind of separating the old exoskeleton from the new one underneath. And when it's ready, they kind of pop open their abdomen, they wiggle their bodies out, and now they've got this new exoskeleton that's a little bit bigger, but it's soft. It takes a couple days for that exoskeleton to harden. So directly before and directly after molting is kind of the most dangerous time to be a tarantula. Molting does have a few other important benefits. If a tarantula loses a leg, or let's say they use a lot of setae from their back with those urticating hairs, when they molt, they can regrow their legs or regrow their setae. So if they lose a leg, it's not the end of the world because they might be able to grow it back. It may take several years for tarantulas to grow and reach adulthood before they're able to reproduce. Most tarantulas are solitary, which means they live alone. So when it comes time for them to breed, they have to be able to find each other. Male and female tarantulas typically find each other for breeding using smell or scent. So that's how they're gonna locate each other. And then after breeding, the female lays a whole bunch of eggs. She wraps them in silk to make this little egg casing, which houses all of her eggs. Females tend to defend their eggs pretty aggressively while they're developing, and eventually all those little eggs are gonna hatch. A bunch of spiderlings are gonna start kind of moving around in there. They'll stay in the nest for a little while before they eventually disperse and go off on their own. Female tarantulas tend to live much longer than male tarantulas. Some males will only live for maybe 5 or so years, and females can often live to be more than 20. Now, we did say kind of toward the beginning that there's more than 1,000 different species of tarantulas, and they do have a lot of stuff in common, but there are a couple things that make them different, particularly their size, which we've already mentioned, how some can be as big as a dinner plate, but other species can be smaller than an inch. So some of them are quite small. Another big difference that they have is with their colors and patterns. Most tarantulas are kind of like a brownish black color. This is going to help them camouflage with the forest floor or any type of dark environment. Some species of tarantulas have colorful stripes, or some even have this bright iridescent blue color to their body as well. Sometimes tarantulas get a bad reputation. They kind of scare people, but other people are really fascinated by them. And a lot of people have tarantulas as pets, which is awesome because tarantulas are awesome, but this does pose a bit of a threat to tarantulas. While most species are not threatened with extinction, which is fantastic, there are a few species that are endangered because of collection for the pet trade, but also because of habitat loss. Things like deforestation, their habitats are disappearing. So one way that we can make sure that we are helping tarantulas is by keeping the environment healthy, right? We can do things to prevent habitat loss, like use sustainably harvested materials, especially our food. Make sure our food is being grown in a way that's good for the planet. and our paper consumption as well. If we can use paper that's made from already recycled paper, that's a great way to make sure that our forests stay healthy and all the animals that live there also stay healthy. Okay, you guys, that is all the tarantula facts that I have for us today. But if you wanted more, be sure to click that link below. Visit our website for quizzes, activities, projects, readings, and so much more. And I cannot wait to see you guys at our next adventure. Goodbye!